here. Marcus, to some of the first bad news for France as it tries to improve its finances. That's first up.
Yes, indeed. We knew before today that the French government would run a deficit in 2013, but now we know exactly how big that hole was in last year's budget. The gap between income and outlays was just under 75 billion euros in 2013, as you can see right here. That means that the budget deficit is heading lower, but not as quickly as the government has previously said it would. As late as November, the government thought that the 2013 figure would be 2.7 billion lower. The budget minister, this gentleman, Bernard Cazeneuve, blames lower than expected receipts for the deficit, tax receipts to be specific. France is under pressure from the European Union, of course, to bring its budget deficit down. But it is looking a little bit tougher than it did just a few months ago. Now, France is, of course, trying to plug the holes in its budget, and the government started talks this Friday to overhaul jobless benefits. The system is in the red and heavily indebted, and employers, they're pushing for fundamental changes. But unions, they're pushing back. Let's take a closer look now at how the system works in practice.
This man, who prefers to remain anonymous, lost his job in April. He gets €1,000 a month in benefits and looked for work initially, but gave up in October. He says he worked hard while in employment. The dole now is a well-earned rest.
I look after my children, I do sport, everything I couldn't do when I was working. It's like a holiday. It's not great for morale, but I believe I have the right to the benefits and should profit from them.
The system in France does, in theory, oblige people to search for work. Each day employed opens the right to 1 day of unemployment benefits, which are paid out for 2 to 3 years. For Katia, no day is wasted. She's been on the dole now for 15 months and has sent out 450 CVs and had just 10 job interviews. She feels one idea being mooted by employers, decreasing dole payments as each month passes, would be just too much stress.
That's going to add pressure. It won't relax me, that's for sure. I honestly don't see what more I can do now in terms of searching for a job.
The government needs to cut costs to meet deficit targets. Negotiations now on the benefit system should result in changes by the end of March.
OK, we're going to take a look at the stock markets next. It's a mixed picture over in the United States with less than an hour to go before the close. Industrial shares, they're taking a hit this session after General Electric reported earnings that disappointed investors. Still, though, the Dow Jones Industrial average up by around about 0.25% this hour. Let's also take a look at the state of European stock markets at the close. All three main indices shut up shop with gains this Friday. The CAC 40 in Paris gained 0.2%. Similar picture there in London. Also, the FTSE 100 gained 0.2%. And if we take a closer look at some of the stories that shaped trading on Friday, shares in Apple, they traded lower, or they're trading lower this Friday on Wall Street. It comes even as the world's biggest network operator, China Mobile, started selling iPhones earlier. It's the first time that the operator, with more than 700 million customers, carries Apple's handset. It's seen as a boost for Apple's efforts to get a bigger foothold in the Chinese market. Apple has been trailing its arch-rival Samsung there. British stocks got a boost as shoppers kept the tills ringing during Christmas. Retail sales in the UK jumped by 5.3% in December in comparison to the same month in 2012. It was the fastest growth since October 2004, and it's fueling hopes that the economy as a whole is perking up. Not much of a perk, though, for shares in Royal Dutch Shell. They fell back after the company issued its first profit warning in 10 years. Shell said its fourth quarter earnings will come in near $2.9 billion. That's $1 billion less than forecast. Shell blames security problems in Nigeria and also higher costs for exploration. And we're going to finish up with a story to keep an eye on during the weekend and also for next week. A deal that would see China's Dongfeng take a stake in Peugeot Citroen could be close. There are reports that the French company's board will meet on Sunday. Sources speaking to Bloomberg say that the deal would see Dongfeng inject at least 500 million euros into the French car maker. The French state would also inject 500 million euros and get a stake in return. Peugeot Citroen is looking for partners as it's trying to turn its loss-making business around and also, of course, to boost sales. As I say, a story to keep an eye on for next week. And with that, I'm going to throw it back to you, Tom.
Thank you very much indeed, Marcus Carlson, for that business update. That's it from me for the next 10 or so minutes. Web News is up next here on France 24.